early on, I found myself really struggling with the idea of, am I making any meaningful, significant behavior change, right? Working with a caseload that, had a good amount of, severe, dangerous types of behavior, I wasn't really seeing the results. And at the same time, I also felt, for me, that the procedures that I was using, not only were they ineffective, but they didn't really align with what I would say were my values. Even if at the time I couldn't articulate what those values were in coordination with this, the process of serving our learners. So what that looked like a lot of antecedent-based strategies, definitely keeping learners safe and whatnot, but also at the same time, escape extinction procedures. My go-tos I found were, again, not bringing that significant behavior change that, I felt like was my job. So I probably, again, couldn't articulate it at the time, but I definitely felt like there was like an internal crisis going on, and I don't know how much longer I would have been cut out in the field if, something hadn't changed.
So when did you stumble into it? Like where?
So I'll never forget the day. We had a day, and the principal at my school said to me, "Hey, I think I want you to start reading up on some work from Dr. Hanley, and I think I'm going to bring him into the school for a little consult." And he did, and I did, and it's like a before and after. Things changed almost immediately. My direction, purpose. Not only did I start to see meaningful change, but I just felt like things were aligning with the way I wanted to be, with my learners, the way I wanted to teach, our teaching assistants, our RBTs, how we wanted them to be interacting with our learners.
Can you articulate some of those values now? Like, have you figured
Absolutely.
those out? Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things was I always loved the idea of creating joy for learners, right? Even if I didn't call it that at the time, but I loved being on the floor BCBA, right? I loved playing. That didn't always jive with some of the procedures that we were using, right? Or it would be, it's fun, and now it's not fun kind of thing, instead of really just having that be a part of the whole process. Safety, rapport, all of that. So, that was almost an immediate shift. And, and that's not even just within PFA SBT. You start to see that, it's like a cultural thing that can happen in an organization where, if that's what's driving the bus, you're going to start to see those meaningful results. And it's amazing to see. And I think that, what attracts people to this process, are those values. It is values driven. And I think to be good at this process, you have to have those values. So for people who are struggling with, certain concepts in it, I think it's definitely a need to kind of check, well, why are you struggling with it? Because, from my experience and just from what I've seen, not only, again, is it effective in bringing about the change we want to see with learners, but it feels right. I think those two things, go hand in hand, but you have to have both.
If people want to learn about it, where do you point them? I know there's a lot of resources out there, so I don't feel like you have to hit them all, but.
No, definitely the articles. I think the articles are big, but then off of those articles, plenty of CEU content, right? Obviously, I'm wearing the PFA, Facebook group. I think the connections that you make through this process also speak a little bit to the humility, that Dr. Hanley does talk about, the professional humility. And that goes with learners. They're going to teach you more than you can ever teach them about their own behavior, right? Caregivers who are working with the learners, being able to ask questions and let them be the expert, that takes humility. I think the same thing in the field when it comes to this process, this community, is just that you see a group of 16,000 people who are all trying to learn about this process. People aren't afraid to say, "I'm stuck. Can you help?" Right? There's no room for know-it-alls, and that goes back then to the people who are in the research, or the people who are, you would say, our leaders. They're in the same boat as in, I don't know all the answers. I'm learning from you just as you are learning from me. I was speaking with two people yesterday who, early on, I had been doing Zooms with them and talking about, we were kind of just breaking down like the shaping part of it. And I was talking about how you can break the process down as far as shaping into the smallest movement, standing up, a step, 2 steps, that kind of thing. And they were telling me how that changed the way they looked at the process, which felt great and all that, but was more important to me was that they also said that their takeaway from it was that, and I almost forgot that I had said this, that now it was up to them to do the same for someone else. If someone else, if they see a post that someone has like a question about, to offer to Zoom with them, because that's how this works. And the reason why it works is because when someone comes for you to help and you problem solve with them, you get better yourself. It's such a cool part of it, like just multiple exemplars. And I mean, that connection right there is, that's what was missing before in this. Like, I definitely, I had other people that I was working with and whatnot, but you still feel like almost like on an island sometimes when you're trying to bring the change that you want to see. But I haven't felt like that in a very long time.
Yeah, so it's safe to say this community kind of helped bridge that gap of that island.
Yeah,
kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I think it's that the people who are good at this, they do share that level of professional humility. They do share those values of safety, rapport, televisability. They are actively seeking to get better, to bring that significant, meaningful behavior change. And I think that the people who benefit the most from that are the learners. And I think that's just so awesome.
That's why we're here, right?
That's right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And whisper your words like secrets written in an old moleskin. And look up above, the sunlight seems like it is gonna break in.